It looks worse, but it's not. Take the cosine, isolate it by getting rid of any number around the cosine, and now you've reduced it to the similar problems that I just showed you. You're back calculating the angle. So to back calculate the angle, you solve for cosine x first, and this is one of those numbers where you can actually cosine inverse it on your calculator, but here they want the exact value. You see that? They don't want you to put in a decimal. So I went to the unit circle and I looked where the x values, which is where cosine is square root of 3 over 2. Highlighted those, and then looked at those angles. That's pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. X is pi over 6 plus every multiple of 2 pi when I come back around, and 11 pi over 6. So in those little blanks in WebAssign, you put pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. Here it's the same old, same old. You're back calculating the angle when sine is 0. It's the same problem. It's all unit circle. You know what we should do is we should get t-shirts that have the unit circle on them. We should get it made. And we should have best pre-calc class ever. What do you think? I think we should do this. We can order it. You be the coolest kids on campus. What? What are they, like a t-shirt is $10 if you go to some cheap place and order them all at once? Yeah? You wouldn't pay $10 for a cool shirt like that? You wouldn't pay for a tattoo? Like a... You don't get tattoos? If it's a unit circle though, come on, think about it.
I'll get that tattoo.
So one day when you're older, your kid says, "Why'd you get that tattoo?" Well, I was in love once. So if you look here, that's where the y value is 0, highlight it, 0 and pi. And probably they want all multiples of pi because every time you go halfway around, you get it. Or you could go 0 plus pi, or pi, plus, you could write it in 2 pieces. Those are both acceptable for me. WebAssign's got a thing where you have to put it in the way they want you to put it in. So don't get confused. You can write it down. If you're having trouble with that WebAssign part, you can just take a picture of your answer. My cell phone, I think, is going around. Everybody's adding it to a group. My number's here. Just text your picture to me, and then let me look at it, and I will tell you you're right. Or I'll tell you you're wrong. So you can write it like this too. Okay, this is a little bit more tricky. They have cosine 2x. The angle is 2x. And you're back calculating that angle, which is 2 times x. So what you do is you think of the 2 times x as just the angle. So you're really looking for where the cosine of the angle is square root of 3 over 2. Same old, same old. You go back to the unit circle. You sure you don't want to get a tattoo? Think of how cool you'd be. At any party, you're at a party like, wow, what is that on your arm? What's that on your ankle? Well, let me tell you, it's the unit circle. At least it's a conversation starter. Then you have square root of 3 over 2. It shows up on, again, we've seen this already, pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. And so the angle you're looking at is pi over 6 and 2 pi over 6, but you really have 2 times the angle, right? 2 times x. So the angle is really 2 times x, so you solve for x. You solve for x, and I'm going to give you a tip here. You're going to have an easier life. Instead of dividing both sides by 2, you divide every term by 2. Or multiply every term by a half. That way you don't have to deal with, I've got a fraction over a fraction, and I've got pi's flying around, and so this makes it look a little cleaner quickly. And you had 2 angles here. You had pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So you do the same thing for 11 pi over 6. I like this problem. I really like this problem. I would bet $100 this is going on the test. Nice problem. Because it's that thing that people were asking me, do I have to know the tan is sine over cosine? Do I have to know cosecant is 1 over sine? Do I have to know secant is 1 over cosine? I know them. That means you got to know them. Double angle formulas, I looked them up even to write your key. So that's why you got them. You got to know these. All right, so how do you do this? You first do that terminal point business that we did before, where you draw the dot and you make a line to that dot, and that's the angle theta that you're looking for. So that's how you make the picture. And then you do the opposite adjacent business that we did. This is one of the good problems for you to say, look, I want to remaster this one. It's showing up within other problems. A good one to learn. Hypotenuse. It's opposite squared plus adjacent squared under square root. By the way, how do you get it to look like Webassign answers? Well, breaking up is not hard to do. You can take 125 and break it up as 5 times 5 times 5. Unless you're in love, right? Then breaking up is really hard to do. And then you can take, for every pair, you can take out 1. So the hypotenuse is 5 square root of 5. So for the pair of 5s that you had underneath, you get to take out 1. So sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse was scary. It was minus 5 over 5 square root of 5. So what? Put it into Webassign, as is. It'll be fine. And you see that on sine theta, they have a different form. Webassign will take the form that you put in. So it will reduce it for you. You can put it in as minus 1 over square root of 5, and it'll be fine. How do you get the other ones? Don't text the president of the university from my phone. You are a stupid head. They'll give me like a 7 o'clock pre-calc and an 8 o'clock at night pre-calc on the same day. So here you go. You just punch in cosine. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. And we get the adjacent. We already have that. We already have the hypotenuse, so we scratch it out. Tangent is sine over cosine. We already got the sine. We already got the cosine. It's fraction over a fraction. Those two guys cancel. And we get negative 1/2. Cosecant is 1 over sine theta. Once you know those rules, this problem's super easy. That's why I like it. It teaches you the rules when you study it. Cosecant is 1 over sine. I already know the answer for sine. I plug in sine. Secant is 1 over cosine. I already know the cosine. I plug in the cosine. And I got all the answers. And look, Webassign's right. They got the same thing I did. Cotangent is 1 over tangent. It's also cosine over sine. So you could do it that way as well. You get the same answer. So I get cotangent as minus 2. Clear? I told you this was a lot easier than what we've done. Cassandra's smiling. That's the first time she smiled since the classes started. That's the first time she's laughed since the classes started. She's actually rolling her eyes at my breaking up joke.